there. All that here. I'll back up here a little bit. Okay, I poured that last night. I poured that in all my molds in an hour and 20 minutes. I filled all my molds up, and then I already had all of these were already poured. So I already had them, so I laid all these up and filled my molds in an hour and 20 minutes, and there's 4 bags of cement, the 80-pound bags mixed up here. Okay, this is what I laid up this morning, Saturday morning. You can see it right along through there, down through here, up across there, and over to here. This was 2 bags of cement. It was very hot out here this morning. I spent about 3 hours laying up all my steel, my wire, and 2 bags of cement. Now, what I've got to do now is what I call scratching the joints. This side has already been scratched. I scratched this already, and that's right now you can't even see where the joints were at. Over there you can see a little bit where I have scratched, where I haven't scratched, but in this case right here it is ready to cure and ready for finish. One of the things that I want to show is what a joint looks like before it's scratched. All this is just the cement that I've placed in between my molded rocks, and what it will look like after it gets scratched. And I'm going to try to set the camera up to where it'll show myself scratching it. Okay, here I am scratching the joints, and I'm just using a regular brick tuck tool at Lowe's. The big thing is when I'm putting this on, I'm not paying any attention. These are the things that I want to get rid of. I don't want that to look like just cement just laid on there. And you just kind of get rid of that stuff, scratch that off, square that up to. Now, you kind of look at the rock that you have in here, the rough texture of the rock. So you kind of want to create kind of the same thing. And now the key thing about it, this is the exact same. This here is the exact same mixture that this is. So when it all dries, it'll all be the same color. And the thing that we want to do is try to create lines. That there is a little bit loose. So I'm going to dig that out, and I'll put some more in there, unless I can get it to look good. That looks good. And so I'm just kind of sitting here creating erosion lines, creating holes that will help look like that there when it's all dry. And that's what scraping the joints ends up being, creating some erosion lines there, some erosion lines in there. Of course, the erosion lines going up and down. That's kind of what's called scraping the joints, looks like. That way I don't have any cement tucked. Raise this up a little bit. Feel like I've got some cement hanging out here. And you always want to keep in mind too that if you're in an area where it frosts, freeze, that water trapped inside these crevices can freeze and bust out some of this stuff too. Over the years of all that I've poured, I'm sure I've had some freeze and bust, but it's not noticeable afterwards. And right now, you're going to notice the most right now than you will ever notice at any other job of this application. When you're applying the color, you won't notice near as much of this stuff. Yeah, I'm just about out of reach there. Okay, here in a little different spot. See this here, I'm just going to kind of create this to be a straight line. Create a little bit of straight here. Kind of pop it off a little bit for erosion. Same thing here. The beauty of this is by doing this kind of a technique, you won't really know, because once this is all dried, and then if you color it, I like to color it with the etching coloring from Lowe's. I personally use a coffee color, but because it's all the exact same concrete, it will all be the exact same color, and it really colors up very, very good. And so that's the reason that if you come back in and texture some of this, it really adds texture to where you don't know where the rock started, and like that's a mold there, and so all the grains are going up, so you kind of add a few more textures in there of the grain, the lines going up. And I don't pay a lot of attention whenever I'm placing my rocks. I don't place a lot of attention on whether it's the grain's going which way, because like I said, at this point right here is where you're going to notice the most of it. There's a few geologists that will frown upon what you're doing, but who cares? This is your hobby, this is your railroad. I don't care what they think. You know, this tool is really a great tool for that. You get in there and dig out them joints. So I'm going to shut it off and finish this up. Here's one thing here. I raised this up. This was that board with them screws in it. Kind of want to take a good shot of it, and that way we can look at it after it's done. Okay, here it is after I've scratched the joints, washed out with not just a pressure washer, just a garden hose. You want to get out as much loose as you possibly can, because after you clean this, if there's any loose stuff that falls out, it will have unexposed color behind it. But yeah, this should look really good after it gets dried. And let it dry for 3 or 4 days here in the summertime before you color it. But yeah, this looks good. Real happy how this turned out up here. That's just strictly scratched out by hand. So still got a ways to go, but this is what some more of it looks like. Here's what some more of it looks like. Here's what I've done in four different settings. 3 evenings and about 3 hours on a Saturday morning. Here it is on this side. This is going to be the roadbed that goes to the my building where I store my trains at. You can see the track up there. That will also switch over to the trestle, which is right there. And I'll have some kind of little city or something back there, a few little buildings, a mine or something, I'm not for sure yet.